Amara Lewis thought walking into the wrong boardroom was the most embarrassing moment of her life, until her 7-year-old son solved a puzzle that left a room full of executives speechless. The man staring at her from across that conference table was Evan Whitaker, the billionaire CEO who had vanished from her life 8 years ago without explanation, taking her heart and all her trust with him. But when little Micah's brilliant mind revealed a shocking pattern that mirrored Evan's own rare gift, dangerous questions began surfacing that could destroy everything Amara had built as a single mother. What Evan discovered about the boy would either reunite a broken family or tear apart the fragile life Amara had fought so hard to create. Some secrets have a way of solving themselves, and some puzzles, once completed, can never be undone. Call to action. If you're hooked and want to know whether love can truly conquer a devastating betrayal, subscribe and tell me what city you're watching from. I read every single comment. Amara Lewis checked her phone again. The babysitter's text made her stomach twist into knots. So sorry. Sick with fever. Can't watch Micah today. She stood in the lobby of the tall glass building, holding her 7-year-old son's hand. People in suits walked past them like they belonged here. Amara felt out of place in her best black dress and borrowed heels. "Mama, why do you look worried?" Micah asked. His big brown eyes looked up at her with concern. "Just thinking, baby." She squeezed his small hand. "Remember what we talked about? You need to be super quiet while Mama talks to the nice people upstairs." The elevator doors opened with a soft ding. Amara checked the piece of paper in her purse one more time. Suite 1425, admin assistant interview at 9 o'clock. This job could change everything for them. The building was fancier than she expected. Marble floors, shiny walls. Everything looked expensive and important. Micah stayed close to her side as they walked down a long hallway lined with glass doors. "There it is," she whispered, reading the numbers on the door. 1425. But when she pushed open the heavy glass door, she knew something was wrong. This wasn't a small office with one desk and filing cabinets. This was a huge boardroom with a long table and 20 chairs. Men in expensive suits sat around the table with laptops and coffee cups. A woman in a power suit stood at the front, pointing to numbers on a big screen. Everyone turned to look at Amara and Micah. "Oh no," Amara whispered under her breath. "Wrong room." Heat rushed to her face. She started to back toward the door, but Micah had already wandered toward the wall, where a white board was covered with numbers and shapes. "Micah, come back here," she whispered urgently. But her son was studying the board with intense focus. He picked up a blue marker from the tray below and filled in 3 missing numbers in a sequence that had stumped the room of executives. The silence felt heavy. Amara's heart pounded as she watched her son work. Micah had always been good with patterns and puzzles. Too good, sometimes. "That's correct," the woman at the front said slowly. Amara grabbed Micah's hand and looked up, ready to apologize and run. That's when she saw him. Evan Whitaker sat at the far end of the table, his blue eyes wide with shock. His dark hair was shorter now, and he wore a crisp white shirt that probably cost more than Amara's rent. But it was definitely him. The man who had disappeared from her life 8 years ago. The man whose calls she had stopped returning when her pride got the better of her pain. The man who never knew about the baby she lost 3 months after he left. Time seemed to stop. Amara felt like she couldn't breathe. Evan's mouth opened slightly. He looked from her to Micah, then back to her. His eyes held the same surprise and confusion she felt. "I'm so sorry," Amara managed to say to the room. "We're in the wrong place." She tugged Micah toward the door, her face burning with embarrassment. The security doors started to slide shut behind them when she heard his voice. "Amara." She turned around. Evan had followed them into the hallway. He stood there in his expensive clothes, looking like he belonged in this world of glass and marble. She felt small and out of place. "It's you," he said softly. "Hi, Evan." Her voice came out smaller than she wanted. Micah looked between them with curious eyes. "Mama, do you know this man?" Before Amara could answer, Evan smiled at her son. "I'm Evan. Your mum and I knew each other a long time ago." "I like your puzzle board in there," Micah said. "Those numbers were easy." Evan's eyebrows shot up. "Easy? Most of my team struggled with that one for 20 minutes. Amara felt panic rise in her chest. She needed to get out of here. Away from Evan and his questions, and the way looking at him made her remember things she tried to forget. "We should go," she said quickly. "I have an interview somewhere else in the building." "Wait." Evan pulled out his phone. Let me call Rita in HR. If you're looking for work, we might have something. I don't need charity, Amara said, lifting her chin. It's not charity. It's a real job interview. He pressed a button on his phone. Rita, it's Evan. I have someone here who might be perfect for that coordinator position we've been trying to fill. Amara listened as he spoke to someone named Rita. Her mind raced. She needed this job badly. The bills were piling up, and Micah needed new shoes for school. But working in the same building as Evan, that felt dangerous. She can see you in 15 minutes, Evan said, ending the call. Floor 12, suite 1200. Thank you, Amara said quietly. The elevator ride felt endless. Micah hummed a little song, while Amara tried to calm her racing heart. What were the chances? In a city of 500,000 people, she runs into her ex at a job interview. Rita turned out to be a kind woman with silver hair and a warm smile. She wore a simple blue dress and comfortable shoes. Her office felt normal and welcoming, not scary like the boardroom. Please, sit down, Rita said, gesturing to chairs across from her desk. Evan mentioned you have experience with scheduling and patient relations? Yes, ma'am. I worked at Dr. Martinez's office for 3 years. I handled appointments, insurance calls, and helped patients feel comfortable. Amara sat up straight. This part she could do. Talking about work felt safe. That's exactly what we need. Our last coordinator left 2 weeks ago, and we're drowning in vendor emails and meeting requests. Micah sat quietly in a chair by the window, reading a book Amara had brought. He was good at being still when it mattered. The position pays $15 an hour to start, Rita continued. Health benefits kick in after 90 days. How does that sound? It sounded like answered prayers. Amara tried not to look too eager. That sounds fair. Good. Here's what I'm thinking. How about a 1-week paid trial starting tomorrow? You can see if you like the work, and we can see if you're a good fit. Amara felt her shoulders relax for the first time all morning. Yes, I'd like that very much. Wonderful. Be here at 9 sharp. Dress is business casual. Any questions? Just one. Will I be working directly with? She paused, not sure how to ask about Evan without sounding weird. With the executive team? No, you'll report to me. We keep clear boundaries here. Rita's eyes twinkled like she understood more than she was saying. When they left Rita's office, Evan was waiting by the elevators. He had changed into jeans and a simple grey sweater. He looked more like the man she remembered from college. How did it go? He asked. Good. I start tomorrow. Amara pressed the elevator button. That's great news. Are you hungry? There's a cafe across the street. Amara hesitated. Micah tugged on her dress. I'm hungry, Mama. Just coffee and a snack, Evan said. We can talk for a few minutes. The cafe was busy with the lunch crowd. They found a table by the window where Micah could watch the people walking outside. Evan bought apple slices and milk for Micah, coffee for himself and Amara. He's a great kid, Evan said, watching Micah arrange his apple slices in a pattern before eating them. He is. Amara wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. Evan, about what happened before. I know we need to talk about it, but not here, not now. He glanced at Micah. I just want you to know, I never got your last texts. Amara's breath caught. What do you mean? When my dad had his stroke, I moved back home fast, changed my phone plan, lost messages in the switch. I thought you decided you didn't want to see me anymore. She stared at him. All those months of thinking he had ghosted her, all that hurt and anger. I thought you left because things got too serious between us. Never. Moving home was about my dad. I should have found another way to reach you. They sat in silence for a moment. Micah finished his apples and pulled out a small puzzle book from Amara's purse. Look, Mama, this one's like the board upstairs. He showed her a page of number sequences. Evan leaned over to see. May I? Micah nodded and slid the book toward him. Evan studied the page for a few seconds, then pointed to a spot. What number goes here? 17, Micah said without hesitation. Right. How about this one? 24. Evan's eyes widened. You're really good at this. Micah beamed with pride. Mama says I have a puzzle brain. That's a good brain to have, Evan said. He looked at Amara. Where did he get that from? The question hit her like a punch to the chest. She stood up quickly. We should go. I need to get Micah home for lunch. Evan looked confused by her sudden change. Of course. Let me walk you to your car. We take the bus, Amara said. Then let me call you a ride. We're fine with the bus. They gathered their things and walked outside. Evan knelt down to Micah's level. Nice puzzle work in there, partner. Micah's whole face lit up. Thank you. Mama, can we do more puzzles at home? Sure, baby. The rideshare car pulled up to the curb. Evan opened the door for them but kept his distance. No hugs, no touching, just respectful space. As the car pulled away, Amara watched Evan through the back window. He stood on the sidewalk, hands in his pockets, watching them leave. He didn't wave. He just let them go. That evening, Amara stood in her small kitchen while her sister Nia chopped peppers for dinner. The apartment was tiny, but clean. Photos of Micah covered the refrigerator. His toys were organized in plastic bins by the couch. So let me get this straight, Nia said, without looking up from her cutting board. You walked into the wrong interview, ran into your ex from college, and got a job offer. That's about right. Amara stirred pasta sauce on the stove, and Micah did one of his puzzle tricks in front of everyone. Nia, you should have seen him. He just walked up to this huge white board and filled in the missing numbers like it was nothing. That boy's brain amazes me. Nia scraped peppers into the pot. What's Evan like now? Amara thought about it. Different. More grown up. He wears expensive clothes and has an important job. But when he talked to Micah, he was still kind. And you didn't tell him. It wasn't a question. Nia knew about the pregnancy Amara lost all those years ago. She was the only one who knew. What was I supposed to say? Hey, remember me? We dated for 6 months, you disappeared, and then I miscarried the baby you never knew I was carrying? Amara's voice cracked a little. Nia put down her knife and turned to face her sister. That's not your shame to carry, Amara. You were 20. You were scared. You tried to tell him and couldn't reach him. It doesn't matter now anyway, doesn't it? Before Amara could answer, Micah ran into the kitchen holding his puzzle book. Aunt Nia, look what the man at Mama's work showed me today. He opened to a page covered in pencil marks. He taught me a new kind of pattern. Nia knelt down to look at the book. This is really good, baby. What else did you talk about with this man? He said I have a puzzle brain like him, and he was nice to Mama. He bought us food and called a car for us. Amara felt her throat get tight. She busied herself with setting the table, while Nia looked through Micah's book. If this Evan wants to be part of your life, Nia said quietly, he proves it with time, not words. I know. And if he hurts you again, I'll hurt him. Despite everything, Amara smiled. I know that too. That night, after Micah was asleep, Amara lay in bed staring at the ceiling. She had laid out her clothes for tomorrow, black pants and a blue blouse. Professional but not trying too hard. She was nervous about the job, but it was more than that. Seeing Evan had brought back feelings she thought she had buried. The way he looked at Micah with such interest and kindness. The way he remembered exactly how she liked her coffee. Most of all, she was scared of the question she saw in his eyes when he watched Micah solve those puzzles. The same question that kept her awake some nights. What if Evan wasn't just good with patterns and numbers? What if it was something Micah had inherited? The thought was too big and scary to hold on to. Amara rolled over and closed her eyes. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges. Tonight, she just needed to sleep, but sleep didn't come easy. Her mind kept replaying the moment when Evan knelt down to talk to Micah, the gentle way he had said, partner, the pride in Micah's eyes when Evan praised his puzzle skills. For 8 years, it had been just her and Micah against the world. Her sister helped when she could, but at the end of the day, it was Amara who made all the decisions. Amara who worked 2 jobs to pay the bills. Amara who sat through parent-teacher conferences alone. Now Evan was back, successful and kind and asking careful questions about her son. Amara pulled her blanket up to her chin and tried to quiet her racing mind. Whatever happened next, she would take it slow. She would protect Micah, and she would not let herself hope for things that might not be real. But as she finally drifted off to sleep, she couldn't stop thinking about the way Evan had looked at both of them, like they were important, like they mattered, like maybe, just maybe, they were worth staying for this time. Wednesday morning came too soon. Amara stood in front of her bedroom mirror, adjusting her blue blouse for the 3rd time. Her hands were shaking just a little. You look pretty, Mama, Micah said from her bed, where he was putting on his school shoes. Thank you, baby. She took a deep breath. Remember, Aunt Nia is taking you to school today. Be good for her. I will. Are you nervous about your new job? Amara sat on the bed next to him. A little, but that's okay. Sometimes being nervous means you care about doing well. Micah nodded seriously. Like when I had to read in front of the class. Exactly like that. She kissed the top of his head. And you did great that day. Nia appeared in the doorway, car keys in hand. Ready, little man? Ready. Micah jumped up and grabbed his backpack. You've got this, sis, Nia said to Amara. Just remember what we talked about. Professional and careful. Amara arrived at the office building 10 minutes early. The lobby looked different in the morning light. Busier. People hurried past with coffee cups and briefcases, all looking important and confident. Rita met her at the elevators on the 12th floor. She wore a kind smile and a simple green dress. Good morning, Amara. Ready for your first day? Yes. Ma'am. Rita led her down a hallway lined with small offices. Here's your workspace. She opened a door to reveal a tidy desk with a computer, phone, and a small window overlooking the parking lot. This is mine? Amara asked. All yours for the week. Longer if things work out. Rita handed her a folder. These are the basics. Email setup, phone system, building security. Nothing too complicated. The morning flew by. Amara organized vendor contacts, scheduled 3 meetings, and answered calls. The work felt familiar and comfortable. She had always been good with details and making people feel welcome. Around 10:30, she heard familiar voices in the hallway. Her stomach fluttered as Evan's voice got closer. She kept her eyes on her computer screen and tried to look busy. Morning, Rita, she heard Evan say. How's our new coordinator settling in? See for yourself, Rita replied. Amara's already caught 2 scheduling conflicts I missed. Footsteps stopped outside her office door. Amara looked up to find Evan watching her with a small smile. Good morning, Amara. Morning. She kept her voice professional and calm. Everything you need? Yes, thank you. He nodded and continued down the hallway. No long conversation, no personal questions, just polite and respectful. Rita appeared in her doorway a few minutes later. How was that? Fine, Amara said, though her heart was still beating fast. Good. I want to be clear about something. Rita closed the office door and sat in the chair across from Amara's desk. I don't know the details of your history with Evan, and I don't need to. But I want you to know that you report to me, not him. If you have concerns about anything, my door is always open. Amara felt relief wash over her. Thank you. I appreciate that. Evan asked me to make sure you understood the boundaries here. He wants this to work, but he also wants you to feel safe and supported. The rest of the day passed quietly. Amara ate lunch outside on a bench, watching people walk by while she wrote in her small notebook. Steady, not fast, she wrote in purple ink. Take it one day at a time. At 5 o'clock, she logged off her computer and packed her purse. As she waited for the elevator, she felt proud of herself. She had made it through day 1. Thursday brought more of the same routine. Emails, phone calls, and organizing calendars. Daniel, a friendly guy from the marketing team, stopped by her office around noon. How's the new job treating you? He asked, leaning against her doorframe. Really well, thank you. Cool. Hey, have you met our fearless leader yet? Evan's a good boss, smart guy, single too, if you're interested. He winked. Amara felt heat rise in her cheeks. I'm just focused on doing good work. Fair enough. See you around. After he left, Amara made a mental note to keep conversations with co-workers simple and professional. The last thing she needed was office gossip. That afternoon, she left work early to pick up Micah from school. Miss Hall, his teacher, wanted to talk to her about a group project. The children are working on a pattern scavenger hunt, Miss Hall explained, as they stood in the empty classroom. They have to find shapes and numbers around the school and create sequences. It's due next Friday. Micah loves that kind of thing, Amara said. He certainly does. He's already mapping out advanced patterns that are well beyond second-grade level. I wanted you to know so you can encourage him at home. As they walked toward the main office, Amara noticed a man in jeans and a baseball cap dropping off boxes near the front desk. When he turned around, she realized it was Evan. He saw her at the same time and gave a small wave. He was donating school supplies, she realized, quietly, without making a big deal about it. Their eyes met for just a moment before Micah ran up to her. Mama, guess what? We're doing a puzzle project, Miss Hall told me. That sounds fun. Evan walked past them in the hallway, keeping a respectful distance. He nodded to Amara but didn't stop to talk. She appreciated that he wasn't pushing for conversation or trying to get closer to Micah. That evening, Nia came over with Chinese takeout. How was day 2? She asked, unpacking containers of food. Good. Quiet. Professional. Amara got plates from the cabinet. And Evan? I barely saw him. When I did, he kept his distance. He's being careful. Nia paused in her unpacking. That's good, right? Yeah, it is. Amara sat down at the small table. Nia, he donated school supplies to Micah's school today. Anonymously. What does mean? It means he's trying to show you something without making it about him. That matters. Friday was the quietest day yet. Amara settled into her work routine, answering calls and organizing files. Around 2 o'clock, Daniel stopped by again with coffee from the break room. TGIF, right? He said cheerfully. Almost there, Amara agreed. You know, I was thinking, there's a happy hour thing tonight at Murphy's Bar. Nothing fancy, just some of us from work unwinding. You should come. That's nice of you to invite me, but I have a 7-year-old at home. Rain check then. At 5 to 10, Amara found herself in the elevator with Evan. They were the only 2 people inside as the doors closed. Have a good weekend, he said quietly. You too. The elevator stopped at the lobby. They walked out together but headed in different directions. Evan went toward the parking garage while Amara walked to the bus stop. She appreciated that he didn't offer her a ride or try to extend the conversation. He was giving her space to figure things out. Saturday morning brought a crisis. Amara turned her car key and heard nothing but clicking sounds. Come on, she whispered, trying again. Click, click, click. She called the tow truck company, but they couldn't come until Monday. Micah had a birthday party at the community center at noon, and she had promised him they would go. Her phone buzzed with a text from Evan. Luis, the mechanic I mentioned, is available this morning if you need car help. No pressure, just offering his number. Amara stared at the message for a long moment. She really needed her car fixed, and Luis had seemed nice when Evan mentioned him before. She texted back, yes, please send his number. Thank you. Luis arrived 30 minutes later in a white van covered with tools. He was a stocky man with kind eyes and grease-stained hands. Evan said, you might have battery trouble? It won't start, just makes clicking sounds. Luis popped the hood and poked around for a few minutes. Yeah, your battery's done. I can replace it this morning if you want. How much? 60 for the battery, 20 for my time. Cash only. Amara did quick math in her head. She had $85 in her wallet. That would leave her $5 until payday Tuesday. Okay, she said. While Luis worked, Micah sat on the steps of their apartment building, watching with fascination. How do you know what's broken? Micah asked. Experience, little man. See how these cables are corroded? That means the battery can't send power to start the engine. Luis explained everything in simple terms that Micah could understand. When he finished, he showed Amara how to check the battery terminals herself. Keep some baking soda handy, he said. If you see white crusty stuff building up, clean it off with baking soda and water. Micah ran inside and came back with a juice box. Thank you for fixing Mama's car. Luis smiled and accepted the juice box. You're welcome, buddy. After Luis left, Amara's phone buzzed with a text from Evan. Did Luis get you running? She typed back, yes, thank you. Good. Have a nice weekend. That afternoon at the birthday party, Micah played with the other kids while Amara watched from a picnic table. Her phone only had $5 on it now, but her car was working. Sometimes that was what independence looked like, making the hard choices and finding a way. Sunday morning, Nia came over for coffee like she did most weekends. So what happens if Evan asks to spend time with Micah? Nia asked, settling into the couch with her mug. I don't know. I guess it depends on how he asks. What would you be comfortable with? Amara thought about it. Somewhere public, short visit, clear end time. That's smart. And if he pushes for more, then he doesn't get it. As if summoned by their conversation, Amara's phone rang. Evan's name appeared on the screen. She looked at Nia, who nodded encouragingly. Hello? Hi, Amara. I hope I'm not bothering you. It's fine. What's up? I was wondering, would it be okay if I spent a few minutes with Micah today? Maybe at the park? I could bring a puzzle book. Amara's chest tightened. This was the moment she had been both expecting and dreading. How long? She asked. 10 minutes, 15 at most. You'd be there the whole time. She looked at Micah, who was building a tower with blocks on the living room floor. He looked happy and safe in their small apartment. The park by Miller Street. Noon. 15 minutes. Thank you, Amara. I really appreciate this. After she hung up, Nia raised her eyebrows. How do you feel? Scared, but also curious. At noon, Amara and Micah walked to the small park 2 blocks from their apartment. Evan was already there, sitting on a bench with a book in his lap. He wore jeans and a blue sweater that made his eyes look even brighter. Hi, Micah, he said, standing up as they approached. Hi, did you bring puzzles? Evan held up the book. 3 new ones I thought you might like. They sat on the bench together, Amara on one side of Micah, Evan on the other. The book was filled with number sequences and pattern games. Okay, here's the first one, Evan said, pointing to a row of numbers. What comes next? Micah studied it for about 10 seconds. 43. Right. How did you figure that out so fast? You add 7 each time, but then subtract 2. 7, subtract 2, 7, subtract 2. Evan looked impressed. That's exactly right. They worked through 2 more puzzles, with Micah solving each one quickly and explaining his thinking. Amara watched, amazed as always by her son's quick mind. Time's up, she said after 15 minutes. Already? Micah looked disappointed. Already, Amara confirmed gently. Evan closed the book and handed it to Micah. You can keep this. Practice the other puzzles and tell me how they go. Really? I can keep it? It's yours. As they walked home, Micah chatted excitedly about the puzzles while flipping through the book. He's really smart, Amara said to Evan as they reached the sidewalk. He gets that from you. Maybe. They stood there for a moment, watching Micah examine his new book. Thank you for letting me spend time with him, Evan said quietly. You kept it short like you promised. I always will, Amara nodded. We'll see you Monday at work. See you Monday. That night, as Amara tucked Micah into bed, he was still talking about the puzzles. Mama, Evan is really good at math games. He is. Do you think he likes me? Amara's heart clenched. I think he likes you very much. Good. I like him too. He explains things good, and he doesn't talk to me like I'm a baby. After Micah fell asleep, Amara sat on her couch with a cup of tea, thinking about the afternoon. Evan had been perfect with Micah, patient and kind, but not trying too hard. He had kept his promise about the time limit. Most importantly, he had made Micah feel smart and valued without overwhelming him. Maybe, just maybe, this could work. Slowly, carefully, one day at a time. Monday morning arrived with grey clouds and the promise of rain. Amara dressed for work while Micah got ready for school. Will you see Evan today? Micah asked over his bowl of cereal. Maybe, but remember, he's my boss's boss. We keep things professional at work. What does professional mean? It means being polite and respectful, but not too friendly. Work friendships are different from regular friendships, Micah nodded seriously. Like how Miss Hall is nice to me but doesn't come to our house for dinner. Exactly like that. At work, Rita handed Amara a 1-page memo about workplace boundaries and professional behavior. Nothing to worry about, Rita explained. Just a reminder we send to everyone about keeping personal and professional relationships separate. Amara read through the simple guidelines. Clear reporting structure, regular feedback meetings, professional conduct expectations. This seems fair, she said. It protects everyone. You, Evan, the company. No one wants awkwardness or confusion. The rest of the morning passed quietly. Amara answered emails and organized meeting schedules. Around 10:30, she saw Evan walk past her office with a group of people in suits. He glanced her way but didn't stop. At lunch, she sat outside with her sandwich and notebook. The grey clouds had given way to sunshine, and the park across the street was full of people on their lunch breaks. She wrote in her notebook, "Steady, not fast. Trust actions, not words. Micah, first, always." A shadow fell across her page. She looked up to see Daniel from marketing holding a sandwich and a soda. "Mind if I sit?" he asked. "Sure." Daniel was nice enough, but he talked a lot about himself and seemed to always be looking for office gossip. Today was no different. "So how are you settling in?" he asked. "Everyone likes you so far." "That's good to hear." "Yeah, you seem to fit right in. Even caught the attention of the boss, I heard." Amara kept her expression neutral. "Rita's been very helpful." "I meant the big boss, Evan." Daniel took a bite of his sandwich and grinned. "Word is he personally recommended you for the position. He helped me connect with HR. That's all." Sure. Nothing wrong with knowing people in high places." Amara packed up her lunch and stood. I should get back to work. See you around. As she walked back to the building, Amara felt uneasy. She didn't like being the subject of office speculation, especially about her connection to Evan. The afternoon brought a welcome distraction when Rita asked her to help organize files in the supply room. Simple, quiet work that kept her mind busy. At 3:15, she left early for Micah's school pickup. Miss Hall had asked to see her about his pattern project. Micah's work is remarkable, Miss Hall said, showing Amara a folder full of drawings and charts. He's creating patterns that are more complex than anything I've seen from a second grader. The drawings were amazing. Micah had found number sequences in the school's address, the fence posts around the playground, and even the pattern of tiles in the cafeteria floor. Where does this kind of ability come from? Miss Hall asked. I don't know, Amara said honestly. He's always been good with numbers and shapes. Well, encourage him. This kind of mathematical thinking could take him far. As they walked to the parking lot, Amara felt proud and worried at the same time. Micah was clearly gifted, but his abilities also raised questions she wasn't ready to answer. That evening, while Micah worked on his homework at the kitchen table, Amara called Nia. How was work today? Nia asked. Complicated. People are starting to notice that Evan helped me get the job. What kind of noticing? Just comments. Questions. I don't like being talked about. Are you thinking about quitting? Amara watched Micah carefully copying spelling words into his notebook. No, I need this job. I just need to be more careful. What does being more careful look like? Less friendly conversation with co-workers. No lunch invitations. Just do my work and go home. That sounds lonely. Lonely is better than complicated. Tuesday morning brought rain and a memo in everyone's email inbox. A simple reminder about professional conduct and treating all employees with respect. Rita stopped by Amara's office mid-morning. Everything okay? Yes. Why? That memo wasn't about you specifically, but I wanted to make sure you felt supported. I do. Thank you. Good. And Amara? You're doing excellent work. Don't let anyone make you feel like you don't belong here. The rest of the week passed peacefully. Amara kept her head down and focused on her tasks. Evan kept his distance, only speaking to her when necessary, and always professionally. Friday afternoon, Rita called Amara into her office. Well, it's been a week, Rita said, closing the door behind them. How do you feel about the position? I love the work. It's challenging but not overwhelming, and I feel like I'm actually helping people. Good, because I'd like to offer you the job permanently. Same pay, full benefits starting next month. Are you interested? Amara felt a huge wave of relief wash over her. Yes, absolutely yes. Wonderful. I'll have HR draw up the paperwork. As Amara walked to the bus stop that evening, she felt lighter than she had in months. A steady job with benefits, a chance to build something stable for her and Micah. When she got home, Micah was at the kitchen table with Nia, working on his pattern project. Mama, look what I found. He held up a drawing of the brick pattern on their apartment building. Every 7th brick is darker. It makes a stripe pattern. That's amazing, baby. Aunt Nia says we can celebrate your job with pizza tonight. Did she now? Nia smiled from the kitchen. I figured you'd have good news. That night, as they ate pizza and watched a movie, Amara felt grateful for what they had built together. It wasn't perfect or fancy, but it was theirs. Her phone buzzed with a text from Evan. Congratulations on the permanent position. You've earned it. She typed back, thank you. Simple, professional. But underneath those simple words was a growing sense that maybe, just maybe, they could figure this out together. Sunday morning, sunshine streamed through Amara's kitchen window as she made coffee. Nia sat at the small table, reading the newspaper, while Micah worked on his pattern project at the other end. I've been thinking, Nia said without looking up from the sports section. That's dangerous, Amara replied, pouring coffee into 2 mugs. If Evan asks to spend more time with Micah, what's your comfort zone? Amara sat down across from her sister. I don't know. Yesterday at the park felt safe. Safe how? Public place, short time, clear boundaries. Amara wrapped her hands around her warm mug. If he asks again, maybe the same thing, but not too often. What if he suggests something longer, like lunch or a movie? Too much, too fast. Amara glanced at Micah, who was absorbed in drawing geometric shapes. Micah's heart is involved now. I can't let him get attached to someone who might disappear again. Mama, Micah said, looking up from his drawing, can we go to the park today? I want to look for more patterns. Sure, baby. After lunch. Nia folded her newspaper. What if Evan's not going anywhere this time? Then he proves it by being patient. As if her words had summoned him, Amara's phone rang. Evan's name appeared on the screen. She looked at Nia, who shrugged as if to say, "Here we go." "Hello?" "Morning, Amara. I hope you don't mind me calling." "It's okay. What's up?" "I was wondering if you and Micah would like to meet me at the park again today. Maybe for 20 minutes this time? I brought a book about pattern games that I think he'd enjoy." Amara felt her stomach flutter. 20 minutes was longer than last time, but not by much. "The same park as yesterday?" "Yes, or wherever you're comfortable." She looked at Micah, who had stopped drawing and was listening with obvious interest. "Noon. 20 minutes. Perfect. Thank you." After she hung up, Micah jumped up from his chair. "We're seeing Evan again? For a little while. Can I bring my project to show him?" Amara hesitated. Micah's pattern drawings were getting more complex every day. Showing them to Evan felt like opening a door she wasn't sure she was ready to walk through. "Sure," she said finally. "But remember, it's just a short visit." At the park, Evan was waiting on the same bench as before. Today he wore dark jeans and a green sweater that made him look younger, more like the college student she had known 8 years ago. "Hey, Micah," he said, standing as they approached. "How did those other puzzles work out?" "Easy." Micah plopped down on the bench and pulled out his folder. "But look what I made for school." He spread out his drawings on the bench between them, geometric patterns inspired by everything from fence posts to ceiling tiles. Number sequences he had discovered in addresses and phone numbers. Evan studied the drawings with growing amazement. "Micah, these are incredible. Did you figure all of this out by yourself?" "Uh-huh, miss. Hall says I have a special brain for math." "She's right." Evan picked up one of the drawings, showing the brick pattern on their apartment building. "This kind of pattern recognition is really advanced." "Where do you think he gets it from?" Amara asked, her voice carefully neutral. Evan looked at her, then at Micah, then back at the drawings. "I don't know, but it's amazing." They spent the next 15 minutes looking at different patterns around the park. Evan showed Micah how to spot the mathematical sequence in the spacing of bench slats and the arrangement of flowers in the garden beds. "Time," Amara said when her phone alarm went off. "Already?" Micah groaned. "We were just getting to the good stuff. Next time we can look for patterns in different places," Evan said, carefully gathering up Micah's drawings. "Maybe the library or the museum." Amara's breath caught. "We'll see." As they walked toward the parking area, Micah ran ahead to look at a sculpture near the playground. "Thank you for this," Evan said quietly. "I know it's not easy." "He likes you," Amara replied. "That makes it complicated." "I'm not going anywhere, Amara. Not this time." She wanted to believe him. The way he looked at Micah with such genuine interest and pride, the way he remembered exactly how she liked her coffee, the way he kept his promises about time and boundaries. "Words are easy," she said. "Then I'll show you with actions." Monday morning at work felt different. Amara couldn't put her finger on it, but there was a tension in the air that hadn't been there before. Rita stopped by her office around 10 with a small stack of papers. "How was your weekend?" Rita asked. "Quiet. Good." Amara took the papers and glanced through them. Meeting schedules and vendor contracts. "And the boundary situation? Everything comfortable?" "Yes, very professional." Rita nodded, but her expression looked slightly concerned. "Good. Let me know if that changes." At lunch, Amara received a text from Grace Whitaker, Evan's mother. The message was formal and polite. "Dear Amara, I hope this message finds you well. I was wondering if you and your son might join me for lunch next Sunday. I'd like the opportunity to meet Micah and have a conversation with you both. Please let me know if this would be acceptable. Sincerely, Grace Whitaker." Amara stared at the message for a long time. Meeting Evan's mother felt like a big step, a step towards something more serious and complicated. She forwarded the message to Nia with a question mark. Nia texted back immediately, "Go, but keep boundaries. She doesn't get to make demands." That evening, Amara showed the text to Micah while he worked on homework at the kitchen table. "Who's Grace?" he asked. "Evan's mom. She wants to meet you. Is she nice?" "I don't know yet. I knew her a little bit when I was younger, but people change." Micah considered this seriously. "If she's Evan's mom, she's probably nice. Evan is nice. Maybe. We'll go for a short visit and see how it feels." Amara texted Grace back. "We'll come. Short visit, Micah first. Grace replied within minutes. Thank you. 1 p.m. Sunday. I'll send the address. Tuesday at work brought an unexpected visit from Evan. He knocked on her office doorframe around 11 in the morning. Do you have a minute? He asked. Sure, come in. He closed the door behind him, which was unusual. I wanted to give you a heads up about something. My mother texted me about Sunday lunch. She invited us. I know, and I want you to know that I didn't ask her to do that. She takes initiative sometimes. Amara leaned back in her chair. Are you saying I shouldn't go? I'm saying you should do whatever feels right for you and Micah. No pressure from anyone, including her. What's she like these days? Evan sat down in the chair across from her desk. Direct. She has opinions about how things should be done, but she's not mean-spirited. And what does she think about this situation? Honestly, I think she's curious about Micah, about you. But Grace has a tendency to want to control outcomes. Good to know. Amara appreciated his honesty. We'll go for a short visit, feel things out. That sounds smart. And Amara? If she says anything that makes you uncomfortable, you don't have to stay. I know how to handle myself. I know you do. Wednesday was quiet at work. Amara focused on organizing files and answering calls. Around noon, Daniel stopped by her office with what looked like exciting news. Hey, did you hear about the outdoor market this Saturday? He asked. Live music, food trucks, local artists. Some of us are going to check it out. Sounds fun, Amara replied, not looking up from her computer. You should come. Bring your little boy. I bet he'd love it. Thanks for thinking of us. But we usually keep weekends pretty low-key. Rain check then. Oh, and speaking of your son, Daniel lowered his voice conspiratorially. I saw him with Evan at the park on Sunday. Cute kid. They seem to really hit it off. Amara's fingers froze on her keyboard. Oh, yeah. I was jogging by and saw them looking at some drawings together. Very sweet. Like father and son, you know? Heat rushed to Amara's face. They were just looking at Micah's school project. Sure. I didn't mean anything by it. Just nice to see the boss taking an interest in employees' families. After Daniel left, Amara sat staring at her computer screen without seeing it. People were noticing. People were talking, drawing conclusions. She pulled out her phone and texted Evan. We need to be more careful about public meetings. He texted back. Understood. Everything okay? Office gossip. Nothing serious. I'll handle it. Thursday brought rain and a company-wide email from HR about professional conduct and workplace relationships. It was general and didn't mention anyone by name, but Amara felt like everyone was looking at her differently. She ate lunch alone in her office and kept conversations with co-workers brief and work-focused. Friday afternoon, Rita called her into the conference room for their weekly check-in. How are you feeling about everything? Rita asked, closing the door behind them. Good. The work is going well. And the other situation? Amara chose her words carefully. Professional boundaries are being maintained. I'm glad to hear that. There have been some observations from other employees. What kind of observations? Nothing serious. Just people noticing that Evan helped you get this position, that you've been seen together outside the office. Amara felt her stomach drop. Are you asking me to change something? I'm just making sure you're aware of the optics. In a workplace, perception can be as important as reality. I understand. Good. You're doing excellent work, Amara. I don't want anything to overshadow that. That evening, Amara sat on her couch after Micah went to bed, staring at her phone. Part of her wanted to text Evan and tell him they needed to step back completely. The other part of her remembered the way Micah's face had lit up when Evan praised his pattern work. She was torn between protecting her job and protecting her son's growing attachment to a man who might actually care about both of them. Saturday morning arrived with the first warm weather they'd had in weeks. Amara was folding laundry when Micah ran into the living room with the newspaper. Mama, look! He pointed to an article about the outdoor market Daniel had mentioned. There's going to be music and art and food. That does sound fun. Can we go, please? Amara looked at the sunny day outside their window. They had been cooped up in the apartment too much lately. Sure, after lunch. The outdoor market was buzzing with activity. Local artists had set up booths selling paintings and handmade jewelry. Food trucks lined one side of the square, filling the air with the smells of barbecue and funnel cakes. A jazz quartet played on a small stage, while people sat on blankets and folding chairs, enjoying the music and sunshine. This is awesome, Micah said, running ahead to look at a booth selling wooden puzzles. Amara bought them lemonades and found a spot near the musicians where they could sit and people watch. The music was relaxing, and for the first time in weeks, she felt herself truly unwind. Amara? She turned to see Evan walking toward them with a surprised smile. He wore jeans and a blue button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up. "Fancy meeting you here," she said. "Great minds, I guess." He gestured toward the stage. "This band is fantastic. Mind if I sit for a few minutes?" Amara looked around. There were hundreds of people at the market. It felt safe and anonymous. "Sure." Evan sat down on the grass next to them, keeping a respectful distance. "How are you enjoying the music, Micah?" "It's cool. The trumpet player is really good. And look." He pulled out a small wooden puzzle he had bought from one of the vendors. "It's a maze inside." "A maze? That looks challenging. Want to try it together?" Evan glanced at Amara, who nodded. "Sure." For the next 20 minutes, they worked on the puzzle while listening to the music. Other families sat nearby doing the same thing, relaxing, enjoying the warm weather, being together. When the band took a break, Evan turned to Amara. "I owe you an apology." "For what?" "For the scared, immature guy I was 8 years ago. I should have fought harder to reach you when my dad got sick. I should have found another way." Amara felt something tight in her chest loosen just a little. "We were both young, both scared. Maybe. But I'm not that guy anymore. I can see that." As the afternoon wore on, they moved from spot to spot around the market. Evan bought Micah a small kaleidoscope from one vendor and helped him identify mathematical patterns in the shifting colors and shapes. They got ice cream from a truck and sat at a picnic table, talking about everything and nothing. Work stress, Micah's school project, the weather. It felt normal, easy, like they were just 3 people enjoying a Saturday afternoon together. As the sun began to set, casting golden light across the market square, Micah convinced them to try a rhythm game. One of the street performers was demonstrating. "Clap on 1, snap on 3, stomp on 5, the performer called out, keeping time with a tambourine. They struggled at first, laughing when they messed up the timing. But gradually, they found their rhythm, clapping and snapping and stomping in perfect sync with each other, and the music. Micah giggled with delight every time they got it right. Amara found herself laughing too, really laughing, for the first time in months. When she looked over at Evan, he was watching her with an expression of wonder, like he couldn't believe this moment was real. "Again!" Micah shouted when the song ended. "Let's do it again." They played the rhythm game 3 more times, getting better each round. Other people joined in, creating a circle of clapping, snapping, stomping music makers. As the sun set completely and the market began to wind down, they walked slowly back toward the parking area. "This was the best day ever," Micah announced, skipping ahead with his kaleidoscope. "It was pretty great," Amara agreed. Evan walked beside her, hands in his pockets. "Thank you for letting me share it with you. Thank you for being yourself." They reached the spot where they needed to part ways, Evan toward the parking garage, Amara and Micah toward the bus stop. "See you Monday at work," Amara said. "See you Monday." But neither of them moved to leave. They stood there in the fading light, watching Micah play with his kaleidoscope, both knowing that something had shifted between them today. Sunday lunch at Grace Whitaker's house was exactly as formal as Amara had expected. The dining room table was set with china plates and cloth napkins. Fresh flowers sat in a crystal vase in the center. Grace herself was polite but reserved. She wore a blue dress and pearls, and her gray hair was perfectly styled. She asked careful questions about Micah's school and hobbies while they ate chicken salad sandwiches and fruit. "And you're enjoying your work at Evan's company?" Grace asked Amara. "Very much. It's challenging but rewarding." "That's wonderful. Evan speaks very highly of your abilities." The conversation felt stilted and careful. Grace was trying hard to be welcoming, but there was an underlying tension that made Amara feel like she was being evaluated. After lunch, Grace showed them around the house. Family photos covered the mantel and side tables. Amara recognized a younger version of Evan in many of them. "This is my favorite," Grace said, pointing to a photo of Evan around age 10, working on a large jigsaw puzzle with an older man. "That's Evan's father. David loved puzzles and word games, spent hours working on them, especially after his stroke." "Is that where Evan gets his puzzle skills?" Amara asked. "Partially, but David always said Evan had a natural gift for seeing patterns, could solve things other people couldn't even understand." Micah studied the photo with interest. Evan's really good at puzzles. We did some together at the park. Grace's eyebrows rose slightly. Did you? And how did you do with them? Pretty good, Evan says. I'm smart. I'm sure you are. As they prepared to leave, Grace walked them to the door. It was lovely meeting you, Micah, she said, shaking his small hand formally. I hope we'll see each other again soon. Me too. Your house is really nice. Thank you. Grace turned to Amara. I appreciate you coming today. I know this situation is complicated. It doesn't have to be, Amara replied. We're taking things slowly. Micah's well-being comes first. Of course, that's as it should be, but as they drove away, Amara couldn't shake the feeling that Grace was thinking about more than just Micah's well-being. There had been something calculating in her eyes when she looked at the two of them together. That was a lot, Amara admitted to Evan when he called that evening to check on how lunch had gone. She means well, but Grace likes to have all the information before she makes decisions. What kind of decisions? About whether people are good enough for her family. And what's her verdict on us? I think she's still gathering data. Monday morning brought disaster in the form of a photograph. Amara was eating lunch in the break room when her phone buzzed with a notification. Someone had tagged her in a photo on social media. She opened the app and felt her stomach drop. It was a picture from the outdoor market on Saturday. She and Evan were sitting on the grass, with Micah between them, all three of them laughing at something. They looked like a family. The caption read, "Looks like our CEO has found himself a work wife and stepkid. Number, office romance. Number, work perks." Daniel had posted it. Daniel, who had been at the market, jogging and apparently taking candid photos of co-workers. Amara's hands started shaking. She immediately untagged herself and deleted the notification, but the damage was done. Other people from work had already seen it and started commenting. She stepped outside to get some air and call Nia. "This is bad," she said when her sister picked up. "How bad?" "Photo of me, Evan, and Micah at the park, posted online. Co-workers commenting, 'Delete everything, right now.' I already untagged myself, but people have seen it. Can Evan make the guy take it down? I don't know. Maybe. But it's probably too late." That evening, Amara paced around her living room while Micah watched cartoons on the couch. Her phone rang at 8 o'clock. "Evan, I heard about the photo," he said immediately. "I'm taking care of it." "How?" "Daniel is removing it tonight, and HR will be having a conversation with him about respecting co-workers' privacy." "It's too late, Evan. People saw it. They're talking." "I know. I'm sorry." Amara closed her eyes. "I think I need to step back from whatever this is." "Amara, no. This is exactly what I was afraid of. Office gossip, people making assumptions, my job being connected to my personal life. Your job is safe." Rita made that clear. "For now. But what happens when more photos surface? When people decide I'm sleeping with the boss for career advancement? That's not what's happening here. I know that. You know that. But perception is reality in a workplace." The line was quiet for a long moment. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I need space. I might end the trial period and find work somewhere else." "Don't do that. Please. Give me a chance to handle this properly. I have to protect Micah and myself." "I understand. But Amara, this isn't over. We're not over." After she hung up, Amara sat on her couch and put her head in her hands. 3 weeks ago, her biggest worry was paying the bills. Now she was caught in a complicated web of old feelings, new possibilities, and workplace politics. Micah came over and climbed onto the couch beside her. "Are you sad, Mama?" "A little." "Is it about Evan?" Amara looked at her son's concerned face. "It's about grown-up stuff that's hard to explain. Are we still going to see him?" "I don't know, baby. Maybe not for a while." Micah was quiet for a moment. "I hope we do. He makes you smile." That night, Amara lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if she was making the right choice. Protecting herself and Micah was the most important thing. But for the first time in 8 years, she had started to believe that maybe they didn't have to face the world alone. Now that hope felt dangerous, like something that could hurt them both if she wasn't careful. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges. Tonight, she just needed to figure out how to guard her heart while still doing what was best for her son. Tuesday morning at work felt different. Amara arrived early and went straight to her office, avoiding the break room and keeping her door partially closed. She had decided to finish out her trial week professionally, but she was already mentally preparing her resignation letter. At 9 o'clock, Rita knocked on her door. "Do you have a few minutes?" Rita asked. "Of course." Rita came in and closed the door behind her. "I wanted to update you on the situation from yesterday." "Okay." Evan spoke with Daniel last night. The photo has been removed, and Daniel has apologized. He didn't realize how his post might affect you professionally. Amara nodded but didn't feel much relief. "I appreciate that. There's also going to be a company-wide reminder about social media and workplace privacy. Nothing dramatic, just a gentle reinforcement of our policies. Will that help?" Rita sat down across from Amara's desk. "In my experience, these things blow over quickly if you handle them properly. People move on to the next bit of office gossip within a week. Maybe, but I'm not sure I want to wait and see. Are you thinking of leaving?" Amara chose her words carefully. "I'm thinking of what's best for everyone involved. What's best is keeping a talented employee who's already proven herself valuable." Rita's voice was firm but kind. "Don't let other people's poor judgment cost you a good job." That afternoon, Amara left work early to pick up Micah from school. She needed to think, and being around her son always helped her see things more clearly. "How was school?" she asked as they walked to the car. "Good. We worked on our pattern projects. Miss Hall says mine is ready for the science fair." "That's wonderful, baby." "Mama, when do we get to see Evan again?" The question hit her like a small punch to the chest. "I don't know. Things are complicated right now." "What kind of complicated?" Amara unlocked the car and helped Micah with his seatbelt. "Sometimes, when adults try to be friends, other people have opinions about it." "What kind of opinions?" "They think things that aren't true, and that can cause problems." Micah was quiet for a moment as she started the car. "Is Evan in trouble because of us?" "No, baby. Nobody's in trouble. We're just figuring things out." That evening, while Micah worked on homework, Amara's phone rang. It was Evan. She let it go to voicemail. He called again an hour later. This time she answered. "Hi. Thank you for picking up," Evan said. "I know you said you needed space." "I do. I understand. But I wanted to let you know that HR issued a neutral reminder about privacy and professionalism today. Daniel apologized to Rita, and he'll be apologizing to you tomorrow." "That's fine. Amara, I know this is scary, but don't let one person's mistake ruin something good." "How do I know it's good, Evan? How do I know you won't disappear again when things get difficult?" The question hung in the air between them. It was the real issue, Amara realized, not the photo or the office gossip. The fear that she was setting herself and Micah up for another heartbreak. "I can't prove it with words," Evan said finally. "I can only show you with time and consistency. I need to protect Micah." "I know, and I want to help you do that." After they hung up, Amara sat at her kitchen table with a cup of tea, thinking about everything that had happened. Her phone buzzed with a text from Nia. "How are you holding up? Confused? Scared? Trying to do the right thing? Want me to come over?" "No. I need to think. Call me if you change your mind." Wednesday passed quietly at work. Daniel stopped by her office around noon with a formal apology that seemed genuine. A few co-workers made small talk, but nobody mentioned the photo or asked personal questions. Maybe Rita was right. Maybe office gossip really did have a short shelf life. That evening, Amara was helping Micah with his math homework when he asked the question that changed everything. "Mama, do I have a dad?" Amara's pencil froze over the paper where she was checking his addition problems. "What made you think about that?" "Jimmy at school says all kids have dads somewhere, even if they don't live with them." "Jimmy's right about that. So, where's mine?" Amara looked at her son's curious, trusting face. For 7 years, she had avoided this conversation by keeping things vague. "It's complicated," had been her standard answer. But Micah was getting older, asking more specific questions. And now there was Evan. Kind, patient Evan, who looked at Micah like he was precious, who shared the same unusual gift for patterns and numbers. "There's someone who might be your dad," Amara said carefully, "but we'd need to make sure the grown-up way." "What's the grown-up way?" "A special test that tells us for certain." Micah considered this seriously. "Is it Evan?" Amara's heart stopped. "Why would you ask that?" "Because we both like puzzles, and he's nice to us, and when he looks at me, his eyes get soft like yours do, out of the mouths of babes." "It might be, baby. Would you want it to be?" "Yeah, I really like him." That night, after Micah was asleep, Amara sat on her couch with her phone in her hands for 20 minutes before she finally sent the text. We should pursue clarity for Micah, slow and private. Evan texted back within seconds. Whenever you're ready. Thank you. Thursday afternoon, Amara met Evan at a small cafe 6 blocks from their office. It was a place neither of them had been before, quiet and anonymous. How do we do this? She asked after they ordered coffee. There's a private clinic downtown. They can do the test with just a cheek swab. Results in 3 days. And if I'm his father, then we figure out what that looks like. Slowly, at your pace. Amara stirred sugar into her coffee. I need you to understand something. If you're Micah's dad, you don't get to drift in and out of his life. You don't get to disappear when things get hard. I won't. You don't know that. Life happens. Things change. Evan leaned forward across the small table. 8 years ago, I was a scared kid who made a terrible mistake. I'm not that person anymore. Prove it. How? By being patient. By showing up consistently. By putting Micah's needs before your own wants. I can do that. Halfway through their conversation, Naya appeared at their table. Amara had asked her to come, wanting a witness to whatever agreements they made. Sorry I'm late, Nia said, sitting down next to Amara. Evan stood and shook her hand formally. Naya, good to see you again. Evan. Naya's voice was polite but cautious. For the next 20 minutes, they discussed practical matters. Where to get the test done, how to handle the results, what boundaries would look like if Evan was confirmed as Micah's father. I want regular visits, Evan said, but at Amara's discretion. I want to contribute financially, but not in a way that makes anyone feel obligated. And if the test says you're not his father, Nia asked. Evan was quiet for a moment. Then I respect that result and step back, but I'd still like to be in their lives if Amara wants that. After Nia left to pick up Micah from school, Amara and Evan sat in silence for a few minutes. Are you scared? She asked. Terrified, he admitted. What if I'm not good at being a dad? What if I mess this up? Then you learn and do better. That's what parenting is. Were you scared when you found out you were pregnant? The question caught her off guard. She had never told him about the pregnancy she lost. For a moment, she considered telling him now. But that pain belonged to the past. This moment was about the future. Every parent is scared, she said instead. The good ones, anyway. They scheduled the test for Saturday morning, a simple appointment at a discreet clinic. No drama, no fanfare. As they walked to their separate cars, Evan stopped her. Amara, whatever happens, I want you to know something. What? You've done an amazing job raising Micah. He's smart and kind and confident. That's because of you. Tears threatened at the corners of her eyes. Thank you. I mean it. Whether I'm his biological father or not, you're the parent who raised him. That matters most. Saturday morning felt surreal. Amara, Micah, and Evan sat in a quiet waiting room at the clinic while a technician prepared the test materials. It's just like a cotton swab at the doctor, Amara explained to Micah. Quick and easy. Will it hurt? Not at all, the technician said with a smile. Open, wide. The whole process took 5 minutes. 3 cheek swabs, some paperwork, and a promise that results would be available by Tuesday. Afterward, they went to a nearby diner for lunch. Micah chatted about his upcoming science fair, while Amara and Evan made careful small talk about work and weather. It felt both momentous and completely ordinary. Tuesday morning arrived grey and drizzly. Amara had barely slept the night before, and she could tell Evan was just as nervous when they met at the same cafe where they had planned the test. They sat at a corner booth with the sealed envelope between them on the table. Neither of them moved to open it. Whatever it says, we handle it together, Evan said. Together, Amara agreed. She picked up the envelope with shaking hands and tore it open. The results were printed on simple white paper with medical letterhead. Probability of paternity, 99.97%. They stared at the words in silence. He's my son, Evan said quietly. He's your son. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Evan reached across the table and took Amara's hand. Thank you, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Thank you for him. Thank you for raising him. Thank you for letting me know. Amara felt tears running down her cheeks. What do we do now? We tell him, and then we take it one day at a time. That evening, they sat in Amara's living room, with Micah between them on the couch. He had been excited all day about getting the grown-up test results. So, Amara said, we got the test results back. And? Micah asked eagerly. Evan is your dad, she said simply. Micah looked from her to Evan and back again. Really? Really? Cool. Micah launched himself at Evan for a hug. I knew it. I could tell because we both like puzzles. Evan hugged him back, his eyes closed and his face peaceful. I'm really happy to be your dad, buddy. Are you going to live here now? No, Amara said quickly. Nothing's changing right away. We're going to take things slowly and figure out what works best for everyone. But I can see you more now? Micah asked Evan. If your mom says it's okay. Yes. A lot more. Over the next few weeks, they developed a routine. Evan picked Micah up from school on Thursdays and brought him home for dinner. They had puzzle nights every Sunday evening in Amara's living room. Evan helped with homework and attended Micah's science fair presentation. Nothing dramatic or overwhelming, just steady presence. At work, things settled into a comfortable normal. Rita converted Amara's trial position to permanent with full benefits. The office gossip moved on to other topics. Evan kept their interactions professional during business hours. 3 weeks after the test results, Grace came to visit Amara's apartment. She knocked on the door at 6 o'clock on a Thursday evening, holding a small gift bag. I hope I'm not intruding, Grace said when Amara opened the door. Not at all. Come in. Grace looked around the small, tidy apartment with genuine interest. Photos of Micah covered the refrigerator. His artwork decorated the walls. This is lovely, Grace said. Very warm. Thank you. Can I get you some coffee? That would be nice. While Amara made coffee, Grace sat at the kitchen table with Micah, who was working on homework. What are you studying? Grace asked. Multiplication tables. They're easy because they're just patterns. Show me. Micah explained how multiplication was really just repeated addition in sequences. Grace listened with genuine attention and asked thoughtful questions. When Amara brought the coffee, Grace pulled the gift bag from her purse. This is for Micah, she said. I found it at an antique shop and thought he might enjoy it. Inside was a wooden puzzle box with intricate geometric carvings. It looked expensive and old. Wow, Micah breathed. How does it work? You have to figure out the pattern to open it, Grace explained. It belonged to someone very special to me. Amara realized it had probably belonged to Evan's father. The gesture felt significant. Thank you, Micah said, already studying the box's carved surfaces. This is really cool. After Grace left, Micah worked on the puzzle box while Amara cleaned up the dinner dishes. I like Evan's mom, he announced. She's smart. She is. And she brought me a good present. That night, after Micah went to bed, Amara sat on her couch thinking about how much their lives had changed in just 2 months. A wrong turn through an office door had led to this. A steady job, a renewed relationship with someone she had once loved, and a little boy who finally knew his father. Her phone buzzed with a text from Evan. How did the visit with my mother go? Good. She brought Micah a puzzle box. Dad's old one? Probably. It's beautiful. She's trying to say she accepts you both. That's her way. I figured. Are you okay with that? Amara thought about it. A month ago, she would have been suspicious of Grace's motives, but watching her interact with Micah tonight had felt genuine. Yeah, I think I am. Good. See you tomorrow for puzzle night? Wouldn't miss it. 3 months later, Amara stood in the parking lot of Rita's office building on a Friday evening, waiting for Evan to finish a late meeting. Micah sat in the back seat of her car, reading a book about advanced mathematics that was way above his grade level. Mama, when is Evan coming out? He asked. Soon, baby. He's probably just finishing up some important work stuff. Her phone rang. Rita's name on the screen. Hi, Rita. Amara, I have some good news. Would you be interested in a promotion? There's a supervisor position opening up in our events coordination department. Better pay, more responsibility, your own team. Amara felt her heart jump. Really, really, you've proven yourself invaluable here. Everyone speaks highly of your work. I'd love to hear more about it. Great. We'll talk Monday morning. Have a good weekend. As Amara hung up, she saw Evan walking across the parking lot toward them. He looked tired but happy. How was your day? He asked, getting into the passenger seat. Good. Rita just offered me a promotion. That's fantastic. You deserve it. What about you? Long meeting? Worth it. We just landed a contract that'll keep the company busy for the next 2 years. Job security? Job security. They drove to the park where they had first reconnected months ago. It had become a tradition to end their weeks there, letting Micah play while they sat on their usual bench and talked about everything and nothing. As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Micah ran over with a stick he had found. "Look, I can draw patterns in the dirt with this." He knelt down and began sketching geometric shapes in the sandy ground near the bench, complex interlocking patterns that showed his growing mathematical sophistication. Evan knelt down beside him with another stick. "What if we add this sequence here?" "Oh yeah, and then we could connect it to this part." Amara watched them work together, their heads bent over the same patch of earth, both completely absorbed in the puzzle they were creating. Her phone buzzed with a text from Naya. "How's the family evening going?" Amara typed back, "Good, really good. You sound happy." "I am." She looked at the two most important men in her life, working together to create something beautiful in the fading light. For the first time in 8 years, she felt like they were building something that would last. "Mama, come help us," Micah called. "We need a third stick for the triangle pattern." Amara picked up a fallen twig and knelt down beside them in the sandy dirt. 3 sticks moved across the ground, creating patterns within patterns, each line connected to the others. "Perfect," Evan said as they finished their geometric masterpiece. "Perfect," Amara agreed, but she wasn't looking at the pattern in the dirt. She was looking at her son's excited face and Evan's gentle smile. 6 months ago, she had been a single mother, struggling to pay bills and wondering how she was going to give Micah everything he needed. Now, she was part of a team, not perfect, not without challenges, but real and steady, and built on honest choices. "What should we draw next week?" Micah asked as they packed up to go home. "Surprise us," Evan said. "The best patterns are the ones nobody sees coming." As they walked back toward the car, Micah skipped ahead, while Amara and Evan followed more slowly. "Are you happy?" Evan asked quietly. "Getting there," Amara replied. "What about you?" "Happier than I thought possible." They walked in comfortable silence for a moment, before Amara spoke again. "Evan? Yeah? Thank you for staying, for showing up, for proving that some things are worth the wait." He stopped walking and turned to face her. "Thank you for giving me the chance, for trusting me with both of you." In the distance, Micah was already at the car, trying to solve Grace's puzzle box by the light of the street lamp. "He's amazing," Evan said, watching their son. "He is, and he's ours." "Ours," Evan repeated, like he was testing out the word. "Ours," Amara confirmed. As they reached the car, Micah looked up from his puzzle with triumph. "I got it," he announced, holding up the opened box. "There was a secret inside." "What kind of secret?" Amara asked. Micah pulled out a small folded piece of paper. "It says, 'For my grandson, who sees patterns everywhere. Love, Grandpa David.'" Evan's eyes filled with tears. "Dad left that for you. Somehow he knew." "That's impossible," Amara said softly. "Maybe. Or maybe some patterns are bigger than we think." As they drove home through the quiet streets, Micah fell asleep in the back seat with the puzzle box cradled in his arms. Amara and Evan talked quietly about weekend plans and grocery lists and all the ordinary details that make up a life built together. It wasn't the dramatic happy ending from movies. It was something better. The quiet satisfaction of choosing each other, day after day, and building something that would last. When they reached Amara's apartment, Evan carried sleeping Micah inside while Amara unlocked the door. They tucked him into bed together, leaving the puzzle box on his nightstand where he could see it when he woke up. "Same time tomorrow?" Evan asked as they stood in the doorway. "Same time tomorrow," Amara agreed. After he left, Amara sat at her kitchen table with a cup of tea, looking at the photo on her refrigerator. It was from Micah's science fair 3 weeks ago. The 3 of them stood together behind his winning project about mathematical patterns in nature. They looked like what they were, a family that had found each other through a series of small choices and quiet courage. Her phone buzzed with a goodnight text from Evan. "Sweet dreams." She typed back, "You too." Then she added, "See you tomorrow," because that was what love looked like in real life. Not grand gestures or dramatic declarations, but the simple promise of showing up again tomorrow. And the day after that, and all the days that followed. Outside, it started to rain softly against her window, but inside, everything was warm and safe, and exactly as it should be.